right, well, I encountered an interesting Gravit bug, but it just obliterated my video. And so it gives me an opportunity to show you something new. You see here that we have this group. This is where we stopped that last video. I want to continue working with this, but I want to preserve this file. So once again, I'm going to do a save as. I did Shift Command S. It's Shift Control S on yours. And you can see there's a O2A file here, but I want to overwrite that file. So I'm just going to name it the same thing. Click Save, and it's going to say, hey, it already exists. You want to replace it? Yeah, I want to replace it. Now let's get back to where we were and see if I can avoid that bug. So I want to ungroup this, and this is one of those shortcuts. Yeah, you can right-click, but remember when we're grouping or selecting things, sometimes when you right-click, it just selects the object, and it's better to learn these shortcuts. So under Modify, there is Group, and that is Command-G, and it says Group Selection because we have a selection. And Ungroup is Shift-Command-G. Okay, so it's Control-G and Shift-Control-G for you. Notice this group is selected, and then if I hit that magic shortcut, you can see that we have a lot of rectangles. We had 25 squares, so we have 50 rectangles because we've got the diamonds too. Now, what if we wanted to add a white stroke around each of the rectangles and each of the diamonds, and we wanted that stroke to be the exact same size? Now, I don't know what Gravit defaults to because I've been playing around with this for a while. And I called it a stroke once again, even though Gravit calls it a border. And I'll try to call it borders, but I've been using Illustrator since the 1990s, and they've been strokes forever. It's got this little plus sign that says, hey, add a border. So we click on this, and by default, I seem to get black every time. I'm going to change that to a white by dragging this up into the corner. See, you drag this around to select different colors. And up into the corner, I know it's white because the hex code is all Fs. Okay, all zeros is black. We can click away to make that go away. And then, did it work? We have a 1 pixel fill that's white, and it says normal here. And we'll click away, and then it looks like it worked, doesn't it? Well, I want to zoom in right here on this particular. I'm holding the space bar to get the hand tool, the space bar and Command to get the magnifying glass, and zoom in on that one element. And then notice that this white here and this white here are different sizes, as if, see how there's a stroke on the outside of this square and a stroke on, well, is it on the outside? Where is this stroke? Why aren't these the same size? Well, this, I need to make sure this is selected again. You can't group it and do this. When it's grouped, you don't get any of these choices. But right here in the borders are these gears. See that? These little sliders? I'm going to click on that to get the advanced options. So here is, how do you want the ends to look? How do you want the joins to be? And you can see the different ways that this will work. And these two we want for sure, but it's the position. We have this on the inside. So there's a stroke on the inside of this yellow square and the inside of this orange square. And what happens is we have 2 strokes stacking on top each other. What we want, you can play around with this, and depending on what you're doing, these different settings will work for you, but you have to realize that things change. When I click on center, look like something happened. If we deselect, now when we zoom in on this the exact same way in the exact same square, notice how now we have the strokes the same size. And you might think, what's the big deal? Well, when you're working with graphics, little things matter. Just like when you're trying to do something good. Every step in the right direction helps you get to where you want to go. And as far as graphics goes, when you miss by a little, which is what we would have done, we would have had a 2 pixel stroke here because they stacked on one another. If we wanted them the same, it wouldn't have looked right. If we wanted it different, well, yeah, it would have worked right. And we could select these things independent of one another and add a thicker stroke if we wanted. But for right now, we have the exact result that we were looking for. And this is another winner. And we can go ahead and select this, group it, export it. Now, I've shown you these shortcuts in prior videos. I'm going to hit cancel just so you can see. I'm going to hit Command-Z to undo. When I selected this, I hit Command-G in order to group it. Shift-Command-E for export. Shift-Control-E on your Chromebook. And then click on the selection in order to get what we selected. And once again, we're going to export something called group. And I talked about the sizes before. You got to have awareness of how large your image is, because we're working for the web and we're working for presentation, and we don't want these too small, because ScotchGo will reset your mission if you have exports that are the wrong size. Now we have something called Group 2 Ping, and once again, I would encourage you to rename these files so they match this. You don't change the .ping, you change the name to the left of that, and you do that back in your whatever the equivalent of the Finder is on Chromebook. Okay, so once again, another step in the direction we want to be moving is to continue to use Gravit in ever more sophisticated ways and begin to learn its nuances.